House for the Repossession from 1992, and director Louis Abernathy. William Katt returns as Roger Cobb from the Big Fun original, and this time he's entrusted as the main heir to his grandfather's old house. A spooky, off-the-beaten-track, run-down place that has a blood oath upon it, not to be sold, and is watched over by a Native American old boy Indian who knows it to be a magical house. Built upon sacred ground which was once defiled by the white man who cheated the rightful Native Americans out of it and their inheritance before being reclaimed, and a supernatural seal built into the basement of the house itself, protecting it and sustaining it down the decades to follow like a self-powering heart. This house is not for sale, and its repossession could prove to be hell. Not a bad story set up then, and the intention of this fourth entry is well meant, but you can sense from the outset that the premise all seems just a little too convoluted, and as the movie plays out it is evident that a mishmash of ideas, both old and new, appear to have been thrown together more in hope of gelling than actually sticking. House 4 almost seems like it was one part leftover ideas from the original two films and one part reboot that was chopped and changed throughout and finally decided upon as an official sequel. The problem being though here is that the third entry was already out there when the horror show became known as House 3. Even though it is not at all related to the first two House films, and this House 4, The Repossession, has William Katt returning as Roger Cobb, the main character from the original House movie. But here he has a different named wife, along with a daughter rather than a son that he had first time out. This is where the reboot possibility gives pause for thought. Either way, it is distracting, and when Roger is killed in an apparent early car accident at the start of the film, the first 15 minutes of the film, which also leaves his daughter in a wheelchair without the use of her legs to follow, and his wife battered and bruised, it all seems rather odd, really bothering to bring William Katt back at all. It's here at this time where this seems to address the element of the elephant really in the room, or perhaps more a case of what the elephant has left in the room upon it leaving, and thoughtlessly it's not an industrial sized shovel. Entering the fray at this time comes Roger Cobb's younger stepbrother Burke to lay claim to the house, with plans to of course raze it to the ground and sell the land on to a developer for amoral future use as a toxic dumping ground guaranteed to make him huge amounts of money, but of course much to the detriment of the surrounding area and its people. Roger's wife Kelly won't sell though, and is determined to make the place work for both her and her daughter, in memory and respect of her late husband Roger's wishes. Roger's cremated ashes are placed in an urn that is sat upon the stone fireplace mantel in the house itself, and when Kelly and daughter Laurel move in, things of course start to get just a little bit weird. This house is heavily set in the more ghostly kind, with little comic tone that was such an uplifting part of the first two movies. But it is done well enough, and the HD print here for this reissue remastering has a texturing tone to it and look that works well, giving the movie a look older than it actually is in a good naturalistic way. A plus point indeed, and Terry Treyas as Kelly Cobb is another plus factor to proceedings here. Her natural beauty and charm carried off effortlessly. Denny Dillon too is a quirky, likeable character who shows up mysteriously on Kelly's doorstep to announce herself as a paid-up house cleaner. But of course she's not quite all that she seems, as the movie later reveals. Not everything here is as it seems indeed, and when Kelly seems to start hallucinating that the house is trying to communicate with her through a shower that pours blood all upon her, and a steamed up mirror that spells out, "Get out or die." She questions her own sanity and considers selling up to Roger's persistent brother Burke, but Ezra, the ever watchful Native American, and an occasional pop back in spirit form turn from William Katt as husband Roger, snaps Kelly back to fighting for what is rightfully hers, and this house knows what is best for it. House 4 is a curious misfiring hodgepodge at best, a 3.5 viewing experience, not without its enjoyable moments. Again, some mostly neatly delivered practical effects here and make-up gags throughout. There is one scene, however, involving a regurgitated phlegm-throat bile that will have most all caught out and lightly reaching for the sick bag. Some jokes can go too far, and this one goes beyond that. Pretty disgusting stuff. The Arrow video extras here, though, are as detailed as before in some respects, but overall not as detailed as we would have liked or have been spoilt by with the previous three incarnations. And the main documentary here is 30 minutes long as opposed to the previous ones of an hour long, so that in itself really says something about this overall last entry from Arrow Video. But with the added extras, the overall entertainment experience here can be taken up to 4 out of 10. It is here with the Home Deadly Home newly shot documentary running at, as I say, just over 30 minutes, that you really do get a greater sense for yourself that House 4 was a muddled and confused project. First time director Lewis Abernathy did not direct again after this, and in the interview actually apologises to the fans for the movie. Stunt coordinator Kane Hodder struggles to recall much about the film at all, and actor William Katt seems confused and pretty unsure as to what the scenes he shot were indeed actually for and what type of film he was making, seemingly completely oblivious to this being an entry in the House series, which is a great shame. And certainly, as far as his involvement was concerned, he seemed to be doing literally a favour for friend and film series producer Sean S. Cunningham. House 4 then is sadly more insipid than inspiring, less amiable and more Amityville. As a fan of the really rather good first two House films and the entertainingly misplaced yet still very well done and enjoyable odd cousin third entry of the horror show, it is with a heavy heart to have to report that House 4, the repossession, is for completists more than anything else, and perhaps viewed on its own, forgetting that it is actually part of the House franchise at all. It is one of the awkward early 90s transitional horror films trying to hold on to its 80s roots and losing itself somewhere along the journey, ultimately leaving this fourth entry of House semi-detached from the Terror Terrace film series foundation that starred and started so successfully with William Katt back in 1985. Please do though share your own thoughts on the series overall here with us at the Geek Legion of Doom, and what your favourite House movie is, and perhaps what your thoughts are on House 4 and any of the other entries as well. Let us know what good and bad of the series to you personally holds in your own heart, and whether House 4 indeed has a place in your viewing heart at all, or do you feel it should be condemned to horror hell. We look very much forward to your thoughts and comments. Please do leave them in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Buckaroobanzai is pure nutty fun.
Okay.